Happy Friday, and welcome back to Let's Talk Chicago Bears football. Okay, so there's a big game coming up this Sunday in Chicago. I believe it starts at it's the afternoon game, so it's a little later. So it's week 8. The Bears are 5-2, and New Orleans is 4-2. And we'll talk about the usual stuff. I'll give some stats, and then I'll give my opinion, and then I'll end the show with I'm going to be kind of next couple weeks on the shows before the Bears games. I'll do a segment about our rookies. So today I'm talking about Mooney. So the Bears and New Orleans have played 31 times in the past years, including 2 postseason games. And New Orleans has won 16, and the Bears have won 15. So it's basically that part is up in the air. That really has nothing to do with what's going to happen on Sunday. Penalty wise, they're both bad. The Bears are ranked 30th, and New Orleans is 32nd out of 32 teams. So they're just bad at penalties. And the thing about the Bears is when I was thinking about this, when they get penalties, they only had 6 last week, but every one of them except for maybe one either stopped a drive from happening for the Bears or continued the drive for the other team, for the Rams. So that's what the Bears do. So the penalties the Bears get, sometimes there's penalties that aren't that bad, that don't hurt you as much, they're more of a nuisance. Nobody wants penalties, but you know what I mean. They're the nuisance. But the Bears this year, when they got the penalties, they're just bad. And everybody knows what I'm talking about. They pretty much stop drives or continue drives for the other team. So we'll move on from penalties because y'all know how I feel about that. That is just, you're giving it to the other team. Okay, so this is intro. You're going to see, this is where it's really going to show that the Bears and New Orleans are far apart, and the Bears are going to have a fight on their hands. So the passing yards, the Bears rank 25th in the league on passing yards out of 32 teams, and New Orleans ranks 9th. So we know, okay. Rushing yards, not surprising. We are dead last, number 32 in the league, and New Orleans is 14th. They got us on that one again. Points scored offensively. I'm surprised we're not 32, but we're not. We're 27th in the league, and New Orleans is 7th in the league. You sensing the trend here? And then points allowed by the defense, the Bears, and I was a little surprised that we are so low, but I guess other teams must be rocking it right now because we started out the season we didn't allow more than 19 points, but now we're 26th in the league. And the New Orleans Saints are 7th, and they're tied with another team, and I didn't bother to look it up because it didn't really matter. So basically, you're seeing worlds apart. They are much better. I mean, 3 out of the 4 categories I just mentioned, they're in the top 10. So that's not good. It's going to be a problem for the Bears. The Bears are going to have to come to play. So Foles has thrown 6 interceptions, been sacked 8 times. And he has thrown 6 TDs. So the interception and the TDs ratios are the same, and you never want that. He has a passer rating of 80.6, which isn't terrible. He's had 4 full starts and 1 second half of the Atlanta game. So, I mean, the numbers do not look good. And do I have to blame it all on him? No. We're going to blame it on 3 things. Him, yes, Nick. The offensive line, and Matt Nagy's play calling. Matt Nagy, as I've mentioned in shows before, is not calling plays to the strength of his players, and that's a problem. So, so that's Nick Foles. Breeze has thrown for 3 interceptions. He was sacked 8 times. He has had 11 TDs. and his passer rating is 105.9. So again, um, he's got us beat. Okay, they got us beat. But now, the one thing I will say in doing some reading is that the only real problem that New Orleans has is their secondary in the last 4 games has given up some pretty big plays. So maybe bad secondary, bad offense, one of them's got to give, right? So maybe the Bears can take advantage of that. Now, the problem being is our best receiver, Robinson, is in concussion protocol, and they basically won't know until Sunday. Right now, he didn't practice again today. So everybody else pretty much practiced except for him and Cody Whitehead. But and we will, if neither one of them can play, it's going to be a big blow. So that does mean that everybody else has to step up, meaning 2 people in my mind need to step up. Well, 3. Miller's got to really step up because then he'll be the next man up, and then your rookie Mooney will move into the second spot, and I know he'll step up. And I'd like to see Clement, our rookie tight end, get involved more, and I know that he can step up. So we'll see. Breeze, the thing about Breeze now is he's older, and I believe this is going to be his last year. He can't really throw the long ball much anymore. So what he does is he takes a lot of underneath what the teams give him, defenses give him. But they have a really good run game. As I noticed, they're 14th in the league, as I told you, and we're not. So our secondary in the defense is one of our strengths. So if he's not going to throw long balls, if you're not really worried about that, then everybody can move up a little bit because we've got to stop that run. If they don't stop the run, and they've had problems with that the last couple of weeks, especially last week. I think they gave up like 146 yards, something like that. There were so many bad things. I couldn't mention everything on the show. So we'll see. The Bears are going to have to, so if he's consistent and does not throw long balls, which he hasn't had a lot of luck with, it gives the defense and our front line, if they can step up, we're going to be okay. The Bears, to win this game, first, the penalties have to go way down. We know that. The Bears D has to stop the run and force Breeze to throw. And as I said, our secondary is really good this year. So if we force him, if we can stop the run, if our front line, because our Roquan Smith has good games, and then he don't, and he needs to be more consistent. So our D line has got to maybe stop the run, in my opinion, because our linebackers are just okay. Danny didn't have a good game, and then we rotate the third guy in and out. So the line has really got to step up this week and try to obviously stop the run, as I said, and pressure Breeze. If you can pressure Breeze, because he is older, he ain't going to run around, that's for sure. And we could maybe get an interception or 2. If we can get some turnovers, that would really, really help the game, that's for sure. The offense has to show up and play. They have to be big boys this week. They got to put their big boy pants on, and they got to score touchdowns, not field goals. Touchdown, 6 points, extra point, 7, okay? And because basically, and the offense has got to have some sustained offensive drives to keep Breeze off the field. Again, as I've been saying, you can't wear your defense out. So we'll see about that. Now, as I told you, they don't really have any major injuries to speak of. I told you about our 2. Cody Whitehead and Robinson sat out again today, and Robinson is a game decision. That's what the coach said today, and he doesn't really know because it really is up to the doctors and stuff because of the concussion. So this is going to be a tough game. There's no doubt about it. The Bears did not play well at all last week. We all know that, right? So I wore my offensive jersey today to hope to bring the Bears offense up to be, like I said, put their big boy pants on and play like big boys because you're in the NFL. You're not in high school anymore, okay, guys? So, and Nagy, let's hope, with all the criticism that I am sure that he got back in Illinois, that he does put some plays in to the strength of his players and not the stupid plays where you make your runner run 7-8 yards to get 1 yard and then it doesn't happen. It's just, you got to be smart about it. And the thing about, with our line being so beat up and hurt and bad, Foles has got to, that's the thing, is Nagy has got to have plays where, boom, 2 seconds, the ball's out. That's about all he's had this year. And there's quarterbacks that can do it. We all know that. And so, but that's the problem is Foles is not that kind of a quarterback. You know what I mean? And I was talking to my son, and the thing about Foles is he's more of a getting a rhythm kind of quarterback. So if he hits one pass, hits two, then he starts to get into a rhythm, and he's good. But the defenses have just been killing our offensive line, and there's been no time for him to throw. I'm not on the bandwagon, Nick Foles, you know that. But to his defense, when you have no time to throw it, and their plays are stupid, what chance do you have, right? So a lot of things, they're basically, the bottom line for the Bears to win on Sunday is no mistakes. They need get some turnovers into their favor. We cannot turn the ball over to New Orleans, and you want to keep Breeze off the field. So, and try to stop that, keep that run down. Like he says, if you can keep, I saw one of the coaches said yesterday, if we can keep the defensive coach, Chuck, he said, if we can keep Camardi, their running back, under 100 yards, we might have a chance. And it's true. So it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be another tough one, but I got to tell you, I just hope they don't look as pathetic as they did on Monday night, because that was just an embarrassment. So I don't feel overly confident in this game that the Bears are going to win. I always say the Bears are going to win in my heart, and I want the Bears to win. But I think the Bears could win this game. I really, really do. If they really get it together and all those things fall into place. If they could just have one of those games where, then I think they could win. But we'll have to see. So we'll see on Monday who won, and we'll go over that. So my last thing is, I want to kind of talk about the rookies. Some of our rookies, give them a shout out. And I'm starting with one of my favorites is Darnell Mooney. And I love him. And his nickname in my household is Mr. Mooney. And for the older population, which probably isn't watching my show, so you're going to have to look this up when I tell you, is Mr. Mooney was a TV character from the 60s and early 70s when Lucille Ball had her Lucy shows. She had several different shows. And after I Love Lucy went off the air in the 60s. In the 50s. So in the early 60s and all through the 60s, Lucille Ball had many Lucy shows, and her boss always in the show was this actor, Gail Gordon, and he was Mr. Mooney. And she was always giving him fits. So anyways, I'm going to call him Mr. Mooney. That's his nickname. So Mr. Mooney is 23. He just had a birthday yesterday. So his birthday is October 29th. So he just turned 33. He is 5'11". And he was selected in the 5th round, the 173 overall pick. And this was a great pick. I mean, I don't give Pace a lot of credit because he don't deserve some credit, because that's the other thing. Why haven't we made any trades? The trade deadline is is Wednesday the 4th. And there's some teams that have got bad records that I bet are willing to unload some players, and I bet we could get an offensive line from them. So, linemen. I don't know what he's doing. Clearly, he's not doing anything. Okay, so anyways, but this was a good pick. Mr. Mooney grew up in Alabama, in a small town in Alabama. He went to Tulane College, and one of the reasons he went there was because of their academic reputation. because he said he wants to make sure that when he's in college, he's doing 50% football and 50% his professional life if football were not to work out. So he's got a degree in computers, and he'd be in the IT department doing all kinds of cool stuff. If so, he's got a degree in that, so he has that to fall back on later in life, which I like that. That makes him a smart young man, and I like this guy. And when I read that, I even liked him more because that is smart. You gotta look to the future. You can't be the here and now, especially with football players, because the average life for a football player, don't look at these guys like Brady and Ben and even Breeze. They've been around a long time, but the average life of a football player is 4 years in the NFL. So good for him. But Mr. Mooney's gonna be around a lot longer than that. One of his favorite foods when he was in college and in New Orleans, is where Tulane is hot wings. Shocking. And I'm sure he can get some pretty good hot wings in Chicago. So I'm sure he's really happy about that. One sad note, he lost his father when he was 16 years old. His father had cancer. So God bless. It's not easy to lose a parent ever, but when you're only 16, he's just starting to become a man. So his mother, you got to give her a shout out for getting him through, and probably family rallied around because he's a good, smart young man. He's got his head on. So God bless you for that. His first NFL paycheck purchase was a Jugs, Jugs, Jugs football machine. And basically, it's that machine where it throws the football to the receivers. The round things. There's 3 of them on it. So he purchased one of those so he can continue to work on his receiving skills and get better and better, especially with the pandemic, because he couldn't. There was no preseason, and there was no mini camp. So he stayed on it, and you can see it worked. I think he's going to be big this week. And Mr. Mooney. And that's pretty much all we know about him now, because he's only been with the team a short time. So I'm going to throw this out there. I would love to interview you for my show, Mr. Mooney. So come on down. But I love him. I really do. So Mr. Mooney, I think, is going to score at least 1 touchdown this week, and he's going to be big, especially if Robinson does not play this week, which in my opinion does not look like he will. So I'd like to see him show up and really show everybody. This kid could be really good. If we could get a quarterback next year, we've got Robinson and we got this kid. We've got Miller. He's okay, but I think we'll go off and get some more receivers. So we'll see. But so that's it on Mr. Mooney, and that's it on the Bears for this week. So it's going to be a tough game. I want to hear you all screaming in your houses so they can hear you down in Soldier Field. And you got to yell like you would if you were in the stands. That's the thing. That's the other thing is, I believe if the Bears had some fans, if we had the fans like we did, where they'd fill the stands, it would really help the Bears this week a lot. After a tough loss like last week, I think the fans would really be cheering them up. So we'll see. So let's hope we get a W. I don't care how we do it. I don't care if it's pretty, if it's ugly. I want a W. You hear that, guys? Get after them. So we'll be screaming in our house from Vegas, baby. And what else? That's it, I think. So let's hope the Bears get a W. And Monday, I can sing the Bears touchdown song, because you're all missing it, right? Yeah, I know you are. All right, listen. Have a great weekend. If you like Halloween, have a good time tomorrow. I'll just be watching college football all day. Not one of my favorite holidays. And then I'll be watching the Bears game on Sunday. And then I'll see you on Monday. And hopefully we have a lot of positive stuff to talk about. And I want to thank all of you for watching my show and supporting me. It's really a really I'm really grateful because I really like doing this. It's kind of a hobby. It's keeping me out of trouble. Well, for about 30 minutes, and then and it's fun. So, and don't forget, anybody knows Mr. Mooney out there? I want to interview him. Okay. And how I always sign off my show: please love each other, smile at somebody today. Let's just all get along and remember to vote. And again, thanks for the support. Keep on rocking and rolling, baby. From Vegas, go Bears!